Universe Maker's first scroll. Please view the description for trigger warnings to make sure this is content you're comfortable with. Chapter 15. It was daylight. The courtyard should be noisy and busy, but everything was silent. Anna expected to feel a chilly wind in the mid-autumn air, but she felt no breeze. The air didn't move at all. She looked around. The wind must have kicked up some leaves off the ground, but they were just suspended and still in the air, motionless. Students filled the courtyard, but none moved. Were frozen, raising food to their mouths, walking on their way somewhere, talking to their friends. All were in the middle of doing something but suspended in time. Hannah looked at Alia. "What is happening?" she asked. Her voice sounded hollow and echoed. "My family is inputting memories. I have a little time to explain," Alia started. Hannah felt an alarm go off in her head. "What do you mean inputting memories?" "We are bound now, Hannah. I have to follow you everywhere you go, and everywhere I go, you have to be with me. In your world, that's considered a little weird if we just met," she continued. Hannah nodded. "So they're making a backstory," she started to understand. "Exactly," Alia answered, relieved Hannah was able to follow. She closed her eyes for a moment, smiled, then opened them again. "They've changed the time Catherine found you. Instead of less than a year ago, she found you 5 years ago," she started. The same memories started to fill Hannah's mind. It was a strange feeling, but Hannah closed her eyes too. "I was only in foster care for a few months." The much happier memory came out of her mouth in little more than a whisper. Alia smiled and nodded. "Before the incident that injured your eyesight and damaged your nose," she added. Hannah's breath caught. Her hand raised to her face, felt her nose. It was straight and perfect. There was no heavy frames on her nose or thick lenses in front of her eyes. She could still see everything in clear focus. The weight and fear she carried with the scars for so long started to melt away. Hannah waited for those memories to leave, of Mr. Hicks climbing into bed with her when she was 14, of him throwing her against the wall after she bit him that caused her scars. She wanted them to fade and disappear, but they didn't. More new memories continued to fill her mind, but the old ones stayed right where they were. Confused, she turned to Alia. "Why do I remember the other events?" she asked, suddenly scared of the answer. Alia reached for Hannah's arm and held it. "You have to remember that you are my guide. Because of that, we can't remove your memories. You also learned some skills during that time we may need. I'm sorry, but you have to keep the old memories." "I hope that the new ones will help ease the pain of the old," she answered honestly, her face showing concern as she watched Hannah closely. Hannah thought on her words, replayed some of the other old memories. They were still frightening and painful, but Alia was right. The pain was eased. The old memories seemed like an old TV show she'd watched instead of lived. She took a deep, shaky breath and nodded. So far, this wasn't going too bad. Alia held Hannah's arm for a little longer before she let go. "You came to the school right after settling in with Catherine, and that's when we met." "We were 13. You let me borrow your pen when mine broke and leaked all over my worksheet." Alia started to laugh. "The instructor almost tripped over herself trying to get you a new worksheet because you were a Mayshaw banner." Hannah started to laugh, remembering Miss Lambert's stumble and quick grab at Hannah's worksheet. Her haste sent ink all over Hannah's white uniform shirt, which just about caused Miss Lambert to pass out. Alia had volunteered to escort Hannah back to the sixth grade rooms to change. They'd been inseparable ever since. "You come home with me every weekend," Hannah started to voice some of the new memories. A series of happy weekends played in her mind, riding horses for endless hours, enjoying the pool, tennis court, racing through the mansion. Summer trip memories started to flood in, ones of Europe, Asia, India, all done with her best friend and with Catherine laughing, playing along. Long nights of just talking. The one night Catherine finally admitted to Hannah how lonely she'd been since her husband worked all the time, and how happy she was that Hannah and Alia were with her now. Alia even had her own room at the mansion. What can I say? Catherine loves me, Alia beamed. Hannah chuckled, but even as she laughed, tears started filling her eyes. I know the new memories play out that we've been close for a long time, but it's actually been a really long time since I've had a friend. She loved the new memories, but the new relief she felt of not being alone would take some adjustment. Me too, Alia returned. Hannah looked at Alia. Of course, it had been much longer for Alia, and tears filled her eyes too. Both girls laughed weakly and hugged again. Alia pulled away and raised her wrist. Given that, I hope you won't find these too cheesy, she said as she showed Hannah the band at her right wrist, a charm dangling from the silver loop. Hannah looked at hers. A matching charm dangled at hers with ST across the top, ENDS at the middle, and EVER angled at the bottom. Alia showed how the two charms linked together, showing that her half with BE at the top, FRI in the middle, and FOR at the bottom. Together they formed a heart that read, Best Friends Forever. We can't ever take these off, so I had to figure out a way to make them as normal as possible, she admitted, turning a little red as she talked. Cheesy for sure and absolutely perfect, Hannah confirmed and laughed. Alia smiled and nodded at Hannah before she bent down to pick up a large backpack on the ground. As she swung it onto her shoulders, her robes changed into a Wyndham preparatory uniform. After settling the pack into place, she turned to Hannah. Are you ready? Hannah looked down at her clothes. She was still wearing her black cat burglar outfit, only now it was dirty, smelly, ripped in several places, and bloody. She was basically a complete mess. I should probably... Before she could say the word shower, she was wearing her school uniform, felt clean, and didn't smell. To make sure, she checked her armpits. Twice. I mean, yes. Yes, I'm ready. Her hair wasn't hanging down one side of her face anymore. It was curled now, something she hadn't done for years in the old timeline. It was pulled back at the sides to clearly show her now scar-free face. Alia's smile grew and her eyebrows raised. They must have thought this would go better with your new nose and lack of glasses. Hannah smiled, pulled the long locks around to look at it. It was brilliant brown color, long, wavy, beautiful. She could work with this. It definitely beat feeling really ugly and damaged. Alia took Hannah's hand while she played with her hair and pulled. Come on, we need to get going. She led her into the school and down the hall. On their way, they came to a group of police officers in the process of pulling Dr. Miller out of her office. Hannah stopped. She's okay? She asked, a little stunned. She had watched with her own eyes that Dr. Miller had fallen into empty space. Alia laughed a little. Once you agreed to be my guide, it cleared all the effects of the test. She may not remember, but she has you to thank for her life right now. Hannah's lip curled in disgust. That's okay. I'd rather her not remember me at all, she admitted. She closed her eyes. With the new memory, she had not approached Dr. Miller at all. Hopefully, the doctor wouldn't have a single memory of her either. She opened her eyes. For the first time, she noticed that Dr. Miller was in handcuffs. From the look on her face, she was screaming something at one of the officers. What happened to her? She asked as they passed by. Alia shrugged innocently. Looks like the wealthy guy she stole from finally caught up to her. Luckily, he got to her before she could make her first attempt. First attempt? Hannah was about to correct. Then she realized, oh, in this timeline. Alia smiled and nodded. Hannah watched a moment. Dr. Miller looked enraged, something she'd definitely seen before. The more she watched, she started seeing things she hadn't noticed before, like the hidden fear and desperation in her eyes. Hannah almost felt bad for her until she remembered the doctor had tried to kill her. Twice. She looked down at the handcuffs again and noticed something else that was different about the good doctor, though. Her arm is normal. That happened during the test, too? Alia did another innocent shrug, this time the corner of her mouth pulled up slightly. More like right after the first failed attempt. Hannah waited for her to volunteer more information on how it happened. Alia remained silent. What happened to her arm, Alia? She finally asked point blank. I bit her, she answered simply. Hannah's jaw dropped. That happened to her arm because you bit her? She asked, not believing the answer. Alia seemed a little embarrassed but determined. The Raffi form looks helpless, but it does come with some benefits. Hannah stopped and stared at Alia, not able to believe that her new friend had withered Dr. Miller's whole arm with a simple bite. Alia turned to Hannah with defensively squinted eyes. "Don't look at me like that. She kept grabbing me by my little arms and yanking. It hurt, so I finally made her stop. It's not like I enjoyed it. At least I might have if she hadn't tasted so nasty." Hannah made an ooh sound right before she started to laugh. Alia turned red and continued walking. Hannah caught up to her and looped her arm through Alia's arm. "If anyone hurts you again, we'll both bite them. Sounds like a really great form of defense." Alia finally laughed. Hannah turned and looked into the English teacher's office as they passed it. A very nicely dressed man was putting an old-looking rolled-up paper into a briefcase. Hannah remembered the scroll from Dr. Miller's bag the first day she'd met her. Didn't they say it was a scroll that started this whole crazy thing? Hannah stopped and waited, expected Alia to enter the office and retrieve the clearly very dangerous scroll. Alia just walked past. "Alia, don't you need to get that and, I don't know, protect it or something?" Alia shook her head. "The tests are complete. That scroll is just a scroll. No matter how many people read it or translate it, nothing will happen. It doesn't have any power anymore." Hannah nodded that she understood while she stared at the scene another couple of moments. Everything around them was still frozen in place. How long was this memory implant process going to take, she wondered before she turned away and caught back up with Alia again. "Any idea how much longer this is going to take?" Alia looked at the floor. Her hands started tapping together the same way Rafi's paws used to. Hannah stiffened, already recognizing that she did that every time she was nervous or didn't want to say something. "I'm waiting for you to remember one more thing," she admitted. Hannah felt a chill. She scanned her new memories, not sure what she was looking for and nervous to find it. One memory so strong she wasn't sure how she missed it and nearly dropped her bag. "Abby," she whispered. In her new memories, the first time she'd met Catherine, she was holding a little girl. Her baby sister was alive. Her breath caught, tears flowed and spilled. "You brought her back for me." "She never died," Alia corrected. Hannah's eyes shot to Alia. "What?" "Everyone has their time here. Once it's done, nothing can change that. You have to understand that before I can tell you about Abby. We didn't bring her back because that's something we cannot do," she explained. "Then what happened to her?" she needed to know. "There was a mix-up with her record. A social worker put the wrong information in the system. The girl that drowned wasn't Abby." Hannah let out a shaky breath and had to lean over. "I think I'm going to be sick." Hannah's stomach started convulsing. Hannah pulled her quickly to one of the garbage cans right before Hannah's stomach rejected everything in it. Colorful chunks of fruit and juice splashed against the rubbish. She was alive. Abby had been alive and stuck in the foster system the whole time through the other timeline. Hannah's head spun and her stomach continued to empty. Alia's eyebrows pulled together in concern as she rubbed Hannah's back. Hannah steadied herself against the garbage in the wall as she scanned her new memories. Abby was happy, healthy, safe. Catherine doted on her like she was her own daughter. Everything was okay now. Everything was okay, she chanted to herself until her world stopped swaying and finally pushed away from the wall, started to walk fast. She had to see her baby sister, talk to her on the phone, something. "We're meeting them today," Alia called after Hannah. Hannah slowed and searched her mind again. Today was Wednesday, writing day. Catherine and Abby always met her and they rode together. They were waiting outside the front gates right now. "Move it, Alia, we're not going to be late," she called behind her before breaking into a dead run. The soft sound of her school shoes hitting the wood floor changed into the sharp sound of her riding boots. She felt her outfit change and knew what she was wearing. The backpack disappeared from her back. A second set of riding boots banged against the floor behind her. Hannah knew without looking that Alia was dressed for the equestrian club, too. She rounded the corner and headed down the main hall to the front doors. This hall had far more students in it than the others. She was forced to slow her pace to dodge around the frozen human statues. She finally reached the front door and slammed through. She skipped 2 steps at a time down to the wide walkway. She could already see Catherine standing outside the limbo on the sidewalk. She was smiling and looking down at a little girl holding her right hand. Abby! The gate that guarded the school entrance was closed. Hannah grabbed the iron bars and pushed. They didn't budge. She started to shake them violently. "Open!" she yelled over and over as she continued to shake the unyielding barrier that stood between her and her sister. "Open them now!" she screamed even louder. "Hannah, calm down," Alia's words sounded behind her. "Don't tell me to calm down. I have to touch my sister. I have to know she's okay." Her words started to become hysterical. "You already know she's okay," Alia soothed. "This isn't the first time you've seen her in this timeline," she reminded. "It's the first time to me," Hannah countered. Alia's hand came to Hannah's shoulder. "I know, but let the memories become real. They're going to think you're crazy, and all you're going to do is scare your sister if you run at her like this." Hannah bit back a curse. She knew Alia was right. She had to calm down. The way she was acting would be natural if this really was the first time she'd seen Abby. But her memories helped calm her ravaged nerves. Hannah's legs gave out as she clung to the iron gate. How could I have left her there? When I was in the huge mansion, given every luxury, she was still out there alone without anyone to protect her. "You didn't know," Alia reasoned. "But I should have," Hannah argued. "But you didn't," Alia repeated. "If you had known, nothing would have stopped you from making sure she was safe." I tried so many times to get free and get enough money to get her out too," she admitted, tears streaming from her eyes. "I know," Alia soothed. "She is now. You've been with her all these years this time. But those memories aren't real." "Yes, they are," Alia explained. "They're real to Abby and Catherine. They need to be real to you too. Even though you have the other memories, let them just help you appreciate what you have now. It could have been way worse. You know that." Hannah took a deep, shaky breath and nodded. Alia kept stroking Hannah's arm until she looked calm enough and helped her back to her feet. Hannah looked back toward her family. "Catherine loves to ride horses? Is that a new memory or has she always loved it?" Alia bit her lip and thought a moment before answering. "There's no way to answer that question without making you feel worse than you already do." "What?" "If I say, yes, she always loved writing, you'll feel guilty you never asked her. If I say, no, it's a new memory, you'll feel like you're forcing her to do something you think she doesn't actually want to do." Hannah couldn't argue with that. Alia was right on both counts. "So you're saying I should just enjoy what I have and let go of everything else?" Alia paused. Hannah guessed she was trying to think of a nice way to answer. Eventually, she just shrugged and nodded. Hannah looked back at Catherine. "Well, at least now I can look at her without feeling like I'm going to crumple into a massive emotional chaos." Hannah started to see the bright side. "I think that has more to do with letting go of all the pain and anger about your parents' death at the end of stage 3 than the new memories," Alia surmised. Hannah watched Catherine a moment longer and smiled. "I think you're right." Alia tugged on Hannah's arm to turn her around. "I found our starting point," she pointed. About 30 feet back up the wide walkway, in the middle of a group of students, Hannah saw something she could only describe as a ghost image of Alia. The image was frozen like the other students, only Hannah could see through it. A similar see-through image of herself was walking next to her. An eyebrow raised as she turned to Alia for an explanation. "Memories have been implanted of us walking to that point. Once we align ourselves with those images, time will start again." Hannah took another deep breath. "I think I'm ready." The girls walked together back to their images. They lined themselves up. The moment they matched their stance with the images, time started again. Students talked and walked. A cool breeze played at her riding ponytail, and the gate started to open in front of them. "Thank you, Bailey," Hannah called as they walked by. Bailey winked and nodded as they passed. "Hannah!" A little girl's voice called just ahead. 6-year-old Abby started racing toward her sister. The moment she was close enough, she leaped. Hannah caught her and lifted her into a tight hug. "Hey there, Fishy," she returned, just remembering the nickname she'd given her right after they'd come to live with Catherine. Emotion threatened to turn Hannah into a babbling mess, completely out of nature for this new situation. She turned her back to Catherine and looked straight at Alya. Alya smiled, nodded her head in encouragement, mouthed, "You can do this." It was exactly what she needed to be able to get some control back of her emotions. The moment Alya saw that Hannah was okay, she walked past the two girls and called with arms open, "Catherine, your new riding hat is just gorgeous," she cooed. "Don't you just love it? We should go shopping this weekend and I'll get one." Catherine started on her favorite subject. Grateful for the distraction, Hannah pulled Abby back just a little to look her in the eyes. "Hey, you know I would do anything for you, right?" She needed to be sure. Abby giggled and nodded her head with her whole body. Hannah smiled with glistening eyes and kissed Abby on the forehead. She turned around and carried Abby back toward Catherine. She hugged Catherine in greeting and they all piled into the limo. Hannah took another deep breath. This new Wednesday schedule was going to take some time getting used to, even though they'd already done it 100 times.